United Polaris Business Class, ostensibly the best business class of the US airlines. In this video, we'll experience it all. What is Polaris, and how did I book this ticket for only $5.60? We'll review the Polaris Lounge in Newark, see the food and service, and even cover the secret Polaris menu.
The secret menu of like mattress pads, slippers,
in and out.
What's it like to fly United's best offering? Let's find out on this trip from Newark to London. Timestamps, as always, if you want to skip around. First unveiled in 2016, Polaris was to be a complete reinvention of business class for United. New lounges, new food served on china with wine flights, Saks Fifth Avenue bedding, and most significantly, brand new Zodiac seats, all with direct aisle access. Sounds great! Airports were plastered with advertisements for it. So why then have I never reviewed it before on this channel? Well, the rollout was an unmitigated disaster. It was ridiculed in the press. Facing incredible delays with obtaining the new seats, United just branded all their long-haul business class as Polaris, even when it wasn't upgraded. But hey, there was at least an extra pillow. For a while, you could tell what was real and what was fake by different colors and icons when booking your seat. Then they streamlined it to hide the difference to passengers if they didn't know exactly what to look for.
It's a fake!
And the excellent product featured by media and bloggers was quickly chipped away at. No more proactive mention of slippers, mattress pads, or pajamas. Gone were the wine flights, mimosas, and Bloody Mary bars. Pre-departure drinks became pre-poured. Hot in-flight snacks were cut. Meals no longer individually plated, but rather served in their reheating trays as they removed a cabin crew member. This all happened in 2018, long before the pandemic. Despite having a wonderful Polaris lounge I've already reviewed, Chicago only received its first regular service with the new Polaris seats in 2020. I had a flight booked from Chicago to London, but obviously that didn't happen. So here we are, finally trying it 2 years later. So how did I book this flight? I used 73,100 United miles plus $5.60. If that sounds like a totally random number of miles, you are correct. Welcome to dynamic pricing. Back when I booked the flight in 2020, it was for a fixed 60,000 miles on the direct Chicago-London flight. Now? Who the hell knows? Perhaps it's 155K, or 130K, or 67K, or 60K. How much will it cost you?
I have no idea!
The day I wanted, it was 130,000 miles from Chicago, both direct as well as connecting through Newark. I'm sorry, inflation's not over 100% since 2020. The best price I could find was out of Newark, so that's why I'm here. I've also been accused of being biased against United in the past, so I wanted to give them the best possible chance by flying their best product with their best lounge out of a hub. I was even sporting a United luggage tag. I could have flown United from Chicago to Newark on a separate ticket, but play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I ended up flying American as much out of spite as because it was cheaper. Sorry you didn't get any more of my money or miles this time, United.
Don't be sad. This is just how it works out sometimes.
After landing in Terminal A, I took the AirTrain over to Terminal C. I honestly have no idea the last time I was in Newark.
I have no memory of this place.
Late 90s, perhaps? I've just never had the need. What were my initial impressions of the old Terminal A? Wow, all the stereotypes about Newark are true. It's terrible. Fortunately, they're opening a new terminal shortly. Terminal C actually didn't look that bad. Thanks to Clear, I was through security in no time, and made my way to the Polaris Lounge. I've only ever visited the one in Chicago, so I was curious how this one would be in Newark. As in Chicago, it was beautiful. After checking my boarding pass and passport, I headed to the bar. Way back in 2018, in the very first video on this channel, I ordered a paper plane cocktail, so out of nostalgia, I ordered it again. The bartender, however, said,
"Now that's a name I've not heard in a long time."
They don't do those anymore. No specialty cocktails at all. Apparently they spread COVID or something. Only beer, wine, or basic mixed drinks. 0 out of 10 right there. However, completely unprompted, he made me my very own paper plane decoration. So back up to 10 out of 10. The lounge is beautifully furnished, with lots of varied seating and individual bathroom stalls. There's a buffet section, but it's significantly worse than how it was back in 2018. Gone are the individually plated dishes, which would have been perfect for COVID, you'd think, and now it's your more standard buffet fare, which is only alright. Fortunately, the real highlight of the Polaris Lounge remains, the sit-down restaurant. Portions are fairly small, so feel free to order multiple items. I ordered the tandoori cauliflower and lamb kofta, which both came out at the same time. While the cauliflower was only lukewarm, the flavors were quite good. The lamb kofta was well cooked and seasoned, though the couscous was a tad dry. But it's solid B+ restaurant quality food. I ended with a warm cookie a la mode, for science of course, which was just the right amount. There really are worse places to dine with a glass of wine with such a beautiful view of the apron. I had a view of my ride, a 767-300, right from the lounge. I'm glad I stayed there as long as I did, as the boarding area was nowhere near as nice. Boarding was incredibly slow, as only a single person was handling boarding for an international 767, which is nuts. Fortunately, all the online document checks actually worked, and I wasn't forced to go to the desk looking at you, Turkish. Upon boarding, I got my very first glimpse of Polaris. Wow, it looks pretty slick. On the 767, it's configured in an odd 1-1-1 configuration, but unlike the seats on something like Air New Zealand, the middle seats alternate which aisle they have access to. On the outside, the odd rows are closest to the windows, while the even rows are closest to the aisle. Moving into my seat 5A, it became very clear that these seats are pretty tight. Just getting in is quite the squeeze. This high J configuration had 46 Polaris seats, 22 Premium Plus, and 99 Economy. It was also a very full flight, with only 4 Business Class and Premium Plus seats free, and Economy was 100% booked. A few minutes later, we were offered water juice or champagne in pre-poured glasses. Let's take a quick look at the seat. First impressions. Wow, it's pretty dirty. Trash in the well here and plenty of crumbs in the seat. Sticky stains on the tray. And look at this poor window shade. Come on, guys. There's a coat hook, storage compartment, and small reading light, as well as a universal plug and USB port. There's a manual remote, but I never needed to use it. Magazine is in a compartment with an armrest that can be lowered. Seat controls are on the left and are well lit. The amenity kit was also pretty good, with eye shades, toiletries, and socks. And there's a pen, thank God! The eye shades are close to, but still not quite as good as my personal favorites from Turkish. For all this many business class seats, there seemed to only be 2 dedicated crew, which is quite inefficient. A third would pinch hit either aisle as needed, but they definitely felt short-staffed. While they started taking meal orders early, they only got about halfway down the right side and even less on mine before the doors closed and we pushed back. The gentleman serving my side was the purser himself, who was absolutely wonderful. This was a Newark-based flight crew, which according to Flyer Talk are markedly inferior to those based in London. Still, I had no real complaints, and they all worked incredibly hard and clearly wanted to be there. As this was a 10 PM flight and many people had likely eaten in the lounge, they first asked if we would be joining them for dinner. Good question. There were no written menus. There were 3 options for main: beef short rib, salmon, and roasted vegetables. As the beef short rib is the constant on the Polaris menu, I went for that. The safety video played, which I quite like as it has quite a bit of personality. Sadly though, they've since cut our longtime favorite cameo.
Thanks, Oscar.
Instead, the new boss gets not 1 but 2 videos following the safety video. He had a generic announcement about being carbon neutral, then a pitch about a flight school encouraging women and minorities, so that's nice. Flying time was 6 hours and 26 minutes at 36,000 feet, and turbulence after takeoff delayed service. I was served warm nuts and had some buffalo trace on the rocks to help it down. Gone are the days of fancy plating or multiple courses. Everything was served on a single tray. Your service may vary as United is trying different offerings, but this is what I got. The salad was fine with cheese and tomatoes. The short rib was a smart choice on United's part, as you can cook it to hell and it still tastes good. I've read some complaints about it being too fatty, but mine was perfectly alright. and of course potatoes and carrots paired nicely with it. For dessert, there was a cup of mango sorbet, which, while a good palate cleanser, is frankly quite lazy for a business class meal. Let's talk bedding and the secret menu. At each seat, there was a fluffy pillow, a foam pillow, and a blanket. They are all excellent. Much was made of the Saks Fifth Avenue partnership, and it lives up to the hype. It was the most comfortable bedding I think I've ever had on a plane, even better than the likes of Etihad Apartments. However, there's even more you can request. As part of their many cost-cutting measures in 2018, mattress pads and slippers are stocked on board in limited quantities, but not advertised at all. After asking, the purser surreptitiously slipped me both. The mattress pad was greatly appreciated for the extra padding and covering up the dirty seat, and the slippers were fluffy, and I'm definitely keeping them. On flights over 10 hours, there are pajamas, but again, you need to ask for them. And be sure to do so early in the flight, as they may only stock a few and then run out. While I went to sleep as soon as I could, let's quickly talk entertainment. There's a nice moving map, and plenty of movies and TV shows to choose from. Wi-Fi sadly isn't free, but it is reasonably priced. $10 for non-members and $8 for Mileage Plus members, which means it's only $6 with the United credit card for a transatlantic flight. That's really not that bad, and I'd normally be willing to pay for it if I wasn't already going to bed. Note that you'll need to link your credit card through the app before boarding in order to purchase Wi-Fi. With the bed fully reclined, it actually is quite private in the odd seats. At 5'8", I did feel a bit tight and could touch from end to end of the bed. I was fine with the footwell, but if I were any taller, I'd definitely feel a bit cramped. I slept for 3 hours straight, then again for another hour, then awoke for breakfast. On a 6-hour flight, that's a pretty decent ratio. For breakfast, there was a choice of French toast or the egg white bites. I was way beyond stuffed at this point, but for science, I pushed through for the French toast. We were preemptively offered juice as well as coffee. The fruit was alright, the pastry looked quite sad, so I skipped it, but the French toast was just the jolt of sugar I needed to try and wake me up. As we flew over Cardiff, the purser came over to talk to me. While I tried to be discreet when filming, he saw that I was clearly reviewing the product. While many airlines are hostile to filming, like Turkish and Etihad, he saw it as a positive, as free good publicity, and clearly was proud of the product and the service he had given. And you know what? He was right. I really did enjoy this flight. Was it as memorable as Turkish, Thai, or ANA? Well, no. But it's not trying to be. If the flight were any longer, say to Asia, I'd much prefer other airlines that are really much more enjoyable. ANA, Singapore, or EVA would blow this out of the water. I feel like when Polaris was first launched, they were trying to really compete with the Asian carriers, but sorta gave up. But the food on the ground is great. The bed and bedding quite comfortable, and for an overnight flight to Europe, that's really all you need. This is miles ahead of Lufthansa's offering, and the seat is likely better than Swiss and Austrian, though Swiss and Austrian have much better food. I'd say it's most comparable to Air Canada, and honestly, the Polaris Lounge puts United over the top. Yes, there's the Air Canada Signature Suite, but my award ticket didn't let me in there, so I can't include it in my review, so Air Canada loses on that technicality. The only real reason I'm likely not to fly Polaris again anytime soon is the award availability and pricing. I'm sorry, this stubborn old man thinks it should cost 60,000 miles, or be available at the Sabre level for Avianca or Air Canada's programs. But they are effectively no seats available at the Sabre rate, even during the height of the pandemic, so they very much joined American and Delta in that regard. And you wonder why you haven't seen those reviewed on this channel either. I haven't yet paid cash for a business class flight on this channel, and I don't plan on starting anytime soon. We landed a few minutes early and had to wait for our gate to vacate by another United flight. From there, I hopped on the Heathrow Express to Paddington and had 2 great days in London. So yes, this is a positive review of United. I know, right? Shocking. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, click that button and please subscribe for many more flight reviews to come. I'll see you next time for the LNER Azuma all the way up the spine of the British Isles.